So, years ago, I met with a mom who was telling me about her nonverbal autistic son and how he just wasn't ready for ASL communication. He was 7 years old, he didn't have any words, he didn't even really babble, and he didn't copy movements, right? No imitation. But check this out, when I met him, there were all these skills that were popping out, and I was like, whoa. This little one is the perfect candidate to start ASL communication. So if you want clarity on if your nonverbal child is ready for basic ASL communication, we're going to talk about what 3 signs to look for. And it's very likely that your autistic rock star is already doing these things. Well, hi everyone, my name is Celeste. I'm a board certified behavior analyst certificate. I'm a BCBA. And I've been in the field of ABA for over 12 years. So in this video, we're going to talk about 3 nonverbal readiness signs. We're going to talk about why it matters, and then we're going to cover next steps. Okay, readiness signs. Number 1 is hand leading. You're probably like, my little one does this already. Yes. So hand leading, what it looks like is just what it sounds like, the child taking your hand and walking you over to a location, like typically it's the kitchen, and he might kind of like get your hand and do this thing where he pulls your hand in the direction of the cupboard. Let's say he wants cereal, or let's say he wants the cookies or the fruit snacks that's on top of the refrigerator. He knows it's there, and he's kind of pulling your hand in that direction. The next one is bringing items. When I started out in the field, I had a learner that I was working with, and he was obsessed with soda. Like, he loved soda so much. One day I was chatting with the mom, and the mom was sitting on the couch, and the little boy came and put the huge bottle of Coke in the mom's lap. And the mom said, "It's still the morning, not right now." And then he started whining and crying. And then she said, "Oh, okay, fine, a little bit." And she opened the Coke and poured him a little bit in his sippy cup. And he got more Coke. That was effective. That worked for him, right? Bringing items to his mom. And the last one is independent initiation. So sometimes I'll hear from parents, my child is so independent. He doesn't really hand lead or bring me items, but he or she will climb on the cabinets. I'll find the chair pulled up to the freezer, like he or she is pulling ice cream out of the freezer. Or here I'll find like the chips open, just kind of crumbs everywhere because he or she found a way to rip that bag of chips open, and they didn't have to wait for me, which is good. But that tells me they're ready for communication, right? The motivation is present. Let's talk about it. So why it matters. When motivation is present, new skills can be taught. Okay, let me say it again. When motivation is present, new skills can be taught. So to be honest, there's not a lot of prerequisite skills for teaching communication, except for motivation. Okay, if the child wants it bad enough, we can teach the skill. And given the child, if the child has motivation and the child has hands, right, and has control over the movements of his or her hands, we can totally teach the skill. Even if there's fine motor deficits, we could totally accept an approximation, the sign for more, right? Okay, and also the second thing is communication is very powerful, okay? It can be understood by a variety of important people in your child's life. So I think something to consider, like as mom or as dad or as grandma or grandpa, you know your nonverbal baby like the back of your hand, right? You know when she's tired, you know when she's cranky, you know when she's hungry, you know when he's sick, you know when he's bored, you know when he's irritated, you know when he's happy. So nonverbal learners don't have to communicate in the way that vocal kids have to communicate. As mom or dad or grandpa, as the primary caregiver in your baby's life, you can read him or her like the back of your hand, which is a gift. But I think we do our kids a disservice when it stops there, because what happens when babysitter watches him or her, or what happens when grandma or grandpa who can't read them as well as you can babysits, or what happens when they go to school, right, and the teacher is not able to read their hunger cues like you can. So communication is really powerful because you're giving the child the control. And that's an ethical and really powerful thing. That's a beautiful thing. We want to be able to equip our babies with independence because they deserve it. So let's talk next steps. One big thing you can start today is arrange the environment to increase motivation. So what that means is instead of keeping the snacks low where the child can just open it and access what they want, go ahead and put it high. Go ahead and put it high up instead of anticipating his or her needs by putting in that pause and not just kind of giving them access, like immediate access to what they need. You're really making a learning opportunity in that moment. And the next one is practice. Like no imitation skills are required, like I said before. So what that means is sometimes parents like, oh, I do the sign, but he doesn't copy me. That is not needed to teach the first word of ASL. The first ASL request that we like to teach in ABA is more. And the reason is because it can really serve as like a general request while they're still beefing up their communication skills. No imitation skills are required. It's really you're teaching your child a new pattern. So in the past, the child hand leads you or brings you to items and then you give it, right? But now the new pattern is they hand lead you to the chips and then you're like, oh, this is the perfect opportunity. Get their little hands, more. Okay, then you open the second bag of chips. More, here's some more chips, right? And so what's happening here is your child is it's going to take time, right? They're unlearning the old pattern and they're learning the new pattern. And just like anything else, it takes time, it takes repetition, it takes practice. So this is why no imitation skills are required. You're teaching them, do this response and then I'll give you this. Do this response and then I'll give you this. And I will say, I think our nonverbal autistic learners are very bright and very quick to learn the new pattern, right? And especially if there's consistency on behalf of the parent. Now you're like, okay, starting now, I'm not reinforcing the hand leading anymore. Now I'm going to push him to the next level. Now I'm going to get his little hands, have him sign more, and then give him more, right? And so typically our nonverbal autistic learners are really keen to learning this new pattern, right? Their brains are really good at identifying patterns. And so this is why this works so well. Okay, last I will say, practice makes progress. Practice is never linear. Like I wouldn't expect him or her to start signing the first sign for more within the first few practice opportunities. Like it's going to take time. And especially if you think of it like, okay, let's say your child is 5 years old, right? For 5 years, for 5 whole years, all your child has had to do to get access to snacks, toys, is to bring you the item, right? And then all of a sudden, cold turkey, you're cutting that off, and then now you're working on a new skill more. So it's going to take time to learn because for 5 years he's learned the old pattern and now all of a sudden you're teaching him a new pattern. So to unlearn a skill that you've learned over 5 years of your life is going to take time. It's going to take time. Consult with your speech and or ABA therapists and talk about what troubleshooting you guys can do. Until next time, from your favorite BCBA, you got this.